Welcome back to the Cannes 2023 Parallel Challenge here on Fantasy Film Ball. We are your hosts, Matt and Arnaud.
That means we're watching an equivalent film to all 21 competition titles at Cannes this year. So in this video, we're going to be doing Beauty and the Dogs and Four Daughters from filmmaker Kaouther Ben Hania.
This is one of the most interesting new filmmakers in the Cannes competition lineup this year. Kaouther Ben Hania is someone who I didn't know a ton about and was surprised to see in competition. Now I'm sitting here saying this is someone who I think is one of the new mavericks of this generation. So Arnaud, give us an introduction to the works of Kaouther Ben Hania.
I was also just as surprised to hear a film from her as you were in the lineup, and it's very exciting because when you see a filmmaker like that you have maybe known a little bit, but you're just now seeing for the first time in competition at Cannes, that usually means that this is somebody who is really kicking off her career and is going to become one of the major international filmmakers in the years to come. As far as a director profile goes, there's not as much to talk about as a veteran filmmaker like Marco Bellocchio or Ken Loach. What I can say is that she is a Tunisian director who works in both Tunisia and France. Her first big breakout was Beauty and the Dogs. She had made films beforehand, but that was really the film that put her on the map, in large part because it was selected at Cannes. But of course, The Man Who Sold His Skin, which came out in 2020, was Tunisia's first ever Oscar nomination. So a big deal for the country, for the industry, and for the filmmaker, of course. We've already seen Man Who Sold His Skin, so we're going to watch her Cannes debut, Beauty and the Dogs.
So before we begin, we're just going to give a disclaimer and a trigger warning. This film touches on sexual assault and sexual violence. Be warned, we had both seen her Oscar nominee, The Man Who Sold His Skin. I thought it was all right. It didn't blow me away, but I felt completely different about Beauty and the Dogs. I think that this is one of the most upsetting and stressful films that I've maybe ever seen. I have rarely felt more unpleasant at the end of a movie than I did watching this. It makes Uncut Gems look like Lyle Crocodile. Beauty and the Dogs follows a Tunisian university student, Mariam, on one insane night through bureaucratic nightmare, often a Kafka-esque bureaucratic nightmare. After leaving a party, she is attacked by 3 police officers and gang raped in the back of their squad car. She spends the rest of the night trying to report the attack, running into constant bureaucratic issues. The hospital won't check her in without a police report, and the police report is almost unattainable to get because she's going in and accusing police officers of doing this to her. The film is shot in a series of 9 long takes, each one following Mariam as she's forced to live and relive her attack, being surrounded by the police as though they are a pack of dogs. It's a horrifying film to watch. It doesn't show any violence on screen, but rather uses the long takes to explore how the real act of violence is the way that the system treats someone who is a victim of this crime.
And the pack of dogs is the right word here. The French title of the film is La Belle et la Meute. Meute literally translates to pack of dogs. It's one person against a system. But the first thing you will notice is the long take / chapter format of the film. Personally, I know you feel differently, Matt. I don't love the long takes. In execution, I felt they were a little bit too clean, a little bit too unmotivated. I don't know, I felt it worked. I felt the first one worked really, really well, and then when I saw it again, and especially after the attack, it didn't fit the tone of the film as well, and I felt it was a little bit less motivated. But I do love the chapter format, and I think that actually gives way to essentially these long drawn-out scenes where you see things really play out in real time, and that to me was really, really well done. It's a great social issue film in how it presents the issue at hand, where characters don't discuss rape culture so much as they are part of it and have to live through it, and you as an audience just kind of see the result of that culture. Pacing to me is excellent, especially considering the long takes. The fact that the pacing is this good is really impressive on a filmmaking level. Really, this is a special film. This is a film that left me shaking, that I think is just really, really worth checking out.
This is why I say that I think that the long takes were really well executed, is because the pacing works so well. Now, in conception, is using long takes necessary. I don't know, but what I think it does is it presents the real time aspect of the story and how there's no cutting away. This character is sitting in this situation, is forced to stay there, and with those long takes, we can't move away. I think it's an interesting storytelling technique that allows for those time jumps to happen while keeping a real time aspect. The lead performance is absolutely incredible. It is Passion of Joan of Arc level. It's painful to watch her go through these events. It confronts a system that is true not just in Tunisia, but worldwide. For one thing, police can act with impunity, and anyone against them, anyone on the opposite side of the thin blue line, is the enemy. This is, I think, a fantastic ACAB movie because it shows that no matter how well-intentioned someone is, if they exist within this system, they exist within a system that allows bad apples to thrive. And can there really be a good apple when they're protecting the bad ones? The other thing that this really goes into that I find so interesting, the justice system's treatment of rape and sexual assault victims is absolutely disgusting.
I mean, just the fact that like you're watching this, as you're watching the story go, you're seeing essentially the perpetrators still around her trying to intimidate and silence her. That is absolutely terrifying. Are you kidding me? It's nightmare inducing. It feels like she has less and less people on her side as the police officers are essentially like manipulating her and telling her lies in order for her to drop the case. It's incendiary. It's an important film. Like I said, I wish on an execution level I was a little bit more in line with the way the long takes were executed, but there are some really striking images in this. The colors are beautiful and really well thought out, and like you said, great lead performance here. Great performances overall, honestly. Definitely a film that is hard for you not to think of after you've seen it, and I think that will leave an impression on both of us.
And it makes me so excited for Kaouther Ben Hania's new film, Four Daughters. I don't know anything about this film, so what do you know at this point about her new movie?
Well, there's a lot we still don't know. There's still a bit of a veil around Four Daughters that shadows some of the details of the film. Here's what I could glean. It's about a mother whose two older daughters are kidnapped by Islamic extremists, presumably to be wed off. And also, as I understand it, it is part documentary, part fiction. So I think there are interviews or, a documentation, I suppose, of the real life subjects, but there are also actors reinterpreting. It reminds me a lot, I don't think you've seen this, Matt, but it reminds me a lot of a film called A Cop Movie, which is on Netflix, which is essentially kind of blurring the line between reality and fiction. And then speaking about cops, if I had to guess, I think this is a likely prize winner, period. I can see this really touching the jury. If I had to bet money on it winning a prize and trying not to lose my money as much as I can, I would probably bet jury prize. This might be the jury giving a prize away to a quote-unquote documentary film as opposed to giving it to the 4-hour documentary by Wong Bing.
I didn't know about this being a documentary fiction blur. Again, this is one that I feel like at this point, we're recording this in very early May. We'll be releasing it on the day that this film is premiering. We don't know anything about this movie yet. There are some films that we know quite a lot about. This is not one of them, but I'm so fascinated by Kaouther Ben Hania's career trajectory. I think she's one of the most exciting voices in film, which I didn't feel before. After watching The Man Who Sold His Skin, I wasn't thinking this is someone that I need to watch all of her films, but now I am. Thank you so much for joining us today for our Cannes Parallel Challenge. Make sure you subscribe so that you can keep watching us and following along on our journey to discover who our Palme d'Or is going to be. So, see you next time.